This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of the Star Wars original trilogy. And I seriously would be questioning if you said spoilers warning was needed because the last movie came out in I think 1983, and the biggest twist in this is one of the biggest and most famous twists in movie history. So if you really don't know the twists of Star Wars' original trilogy, then I don't know how you have managed to live your entire life without hearing the fact that Vader is Luke's father. And yeah, I honestly wouldn't know how you'd be able to do that, since that's one of the most famous movie twists ever. And let's just go straight into it, starting off with the first film. And with this, I want to mention for episodes 4 and 6, I am only reviewing the 2004 DVD version of them. So with this, there is no McClunky with Han Solo shooting Greedo, and there is no overdramatic no when Palpatine is killed by Vader. So yeah, now I'll go into it, and I just wanted to mention it because I'm not gonna watch those ridiculous scenes, and I have the old DVDs of it just so I don't have to go and watch it. And starting off with the first film, with this, depending on when you were born, this is either Star Wars or Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. And although most people now know it as that, this film originally came out in 1977, just under the title of Star Wars. And with it, this is just to say nothing about the quality of the film, but it's one of the most important films to exist in terms of technology. Looking at stuff like the Light and Magic documentary that recently released, George Lucas, with his company Industrial Light and Magic, was able to advance just so much in terms of special effects for movies. And with it, this film was just really important for that. And also because it was a film that just went and defined the generation that grew up with it. And with it, although I was not born yet during the generation, and I was still pretty young. I was a little younger when the prequels came out. I'm not going to tell you my exact age, but with it was still really cool to just see how important these movies were. And with people who I do know that are relatives that were alive during the time, I can say Star Wars was really big. And with it, this film is so important, and it's definitely one of my favorites in the franchise. It wanted to set the roots for everything, and although the effects are nothing compared to what has been created today, they are still really impressive, and the movie definitely holds up. And with it, I really do enjoy this film. Looking at it, we get the great storyline that just follows the basic hero's journey, where we see Luke Skywalker begin to become a Jedi and go to save Princess Leia and destroy Death Star. And with it, even though the story is really simple, it's just a really fun story. With it, Luke Skywalker is a great lead in it, and with it, it's even better when you watch it in context with the other films, knowing the other things going on, how Palpatine is in the background controlling everyone, that Vader is actually Luke's father, and with it, it's all just really interesting. It's really fun, and you get to see just how developed Star Wars has become since the original film released in 1977. And with it, I will mention some of the special edition stuff added on, although I didn't mention this back in the prequels. It's a lot more controversial with the original trilogy, with the prequels mainly just fixing things, like that extremely creepy Yoda puppet they used in The Phantom Menace was replaced with a CGI Yoda, and that's just a lot better, and I'm glad they did that. But looking at it, I think that it's really interesting to see just how everything has been developed in Star Wars, and one to this point because from here we get stuff like the Clone Wars mentioned, the concept of Jedi Knights. Darth Vader was originally Vader's name, but Darth being his first name, and the fact that Luke and Leia were not related and Anakin was not Vader. But there's just so much interesting stuff that goes on in here. And going back to the special edition stuff, I don't hate him too much. I feel like, yeah, the scene with Han and Jabba is completely unnecessary, but it's not like it goes and fully ruins anything since we do know this is already happening and was intended to be a scene, but they weren't able to go and finish the effects for it. And with it, it also retroactively puts Boba Fett into the film, although he would have been revealed a year later in the holiday special and during a parade. But yeah, that is just pretty crazy that this stuff was added in and that there isn't really many options to go and watch the original cut of the film. And there's a lot of stuff with the special editions, like the fact that Han no longer is the one to shoot Greedo, and he has to either shoot first or second or whatever someone wants to say. But with it, that's one of the things I will say is Han is not the one who shot first because that implies someone else shot. And with it, Han is the only one to shoot, and that's one of the things I'll say. I mean, you sort of try and end debates of did Han shoot first or not. Yeah, just looking at the story, because that's talking about some of the smaller aspects. It's a really great story. We get to see Luke moving forward, him training as a Jedi under Obi-Wan Kenobi, and with them infiltrating the Death Star and rescuing Leia. With it, the story is also really interesting. We get to see how Luke is becoming a hero and how he's becoming more and more powerful as they go and escape and attack the Death Star, and is able to use the Force to destroy it. We also have the first lightsaber duel in this, where Obi-Wan loses to Vader, although he does sacrifice himself, and with it, although it's a really heavily simple fight, it is still cool and is always something I would enjoy to be kept intact instead of, although the SC-38, something like that, it was the one thing where they went and recreated the Obi-Wan versus Vader fight with a lot more theatrics in it and made it a little more prequel-like. And with it, all of that was cool. Just having this fight to show just how lightsaber combat emerged and evolved just from the first film and later films was a really cool thing to see. Peter Cushing did such a great job as Grand Moff Tarkin and showing him as one of the few people that Vader would answer to. And with it, the moment where he destroyed Alderaan was really cool. We have Han Solo, and it was awesome to see him here as he is just such an interesting character, being more of a rogue scoundrel character that is a little more anti-hero than everyone else. And with it, he is, although a good guy, he is definitely going to be doing something like out for himself, and it was a really cool character to have introduced in this movie. And I think him being the only one to shoot just makes him such a better character, which is why I always say that he's the only one to shoot. And with it, I really just do enjoy this film. It did such a great job, and I feel like I've just covered really everything that I wanted to, and now it's time to move on to what many consider to be the greatest Star Wars film. I'd probably say the same, although, as I said before, it's a really close tie between the films of the original trilogy and Revenge of the Sith. And The Empire Strikes Back is probably the third darkest Star Wars film, with The Revenge of the Sith being the darkest and Rogue One being the second darkest. With this, the heroes are left out in a pretty bad place, but this is definitely not as bad as the places they were at the end of the Revenge of the Sith, where the entire Jedi Order has been wiped out, the Empire has risen, and Anakin was burned alive into the monster that is now Darth Vader. And it's not as dark as everyone sacrifices themselves in Rogue One, but it's still a pretty dark ending where we have Han Solo captured, Luke Skywalker with his arm chopped off, and learning that Darth Vader is his father. And we have the rebellion suffering a pretty major defeat. And yeah, with this, I really do love Empire Strikes Back. And as that, although it not only is almost everyone's favorite, it's just such a close tie because I love all the films from episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6 together. Because of just how great the story is between them and how well they tie into each other. With this, there's so much great stuff. Starting off with the Battle of Hoth, we just get to see an awesome battle on the snow world where we have the awesome AT-ATs battling rebel forces and being taken down by snow speeders until they are eventually able to take out the shield generator and win the battle. It's just a really cool battle, and not something I don't expect too often in movies for the good guys to lose, especially when it's a film that is not a two-part film, and with it, it's a lot less likely for the good guys to lose in that film. But yeah, this film is just beating down the heroes, pushing them to their lowest points so they can rise up and get the ultimate victory in Return of the Jedi. With this, you get to see truly how powerful the Empire is, with them winning at Hoth and being able to make them members of the rebellion barely escape with their lives at the end, with them going after Luke and everyone else. With it, there's so many great things that happen in it, and I'll take a look at the few different storylines. The first one with Han and Leia falling in love, that is just a really great storyline with C-3PO randomly interrupting them, which is a joke that never really gets old. When they're about to go and kiss, C-3PO runs in and interrupts them, and Han Solo is just great with the way he reacts. And yeah, with it, we have that storyline as they are going through the asteroid belt and slowly make it to Bespin. And it's really fun to see Han and Leia together and falling in love. It was just a really great story, and with it, I just have so much fun watching it every time. The one really problematic scene in this is the one where Leia kisses Luke, but this scene's been talked about to death because it was later changed for them to be related, and they were not related at this point in the story, so it's a lot more awkward when looking back. And yeah, that's just a weird, awkward moment when you look back now, and yeah, just looking at so much more with this film. With Han and Leia, when they eventually make it to Cloud City, we get introduced to Lando, who is just the best. Billy D. Williams is so fun in this role, and you can both understand what he is doing, although you don't like him for doing it. And then you're back on his side when he goes and rescues them, just realizing he was trying to do what was best for his people, but he couldn't go and fully betray his friends. And yeah, with these characters are just so great, and with the ultimate defeat and Han being captured, frozen in carbonite, and being taken away by Boba Fett, it really is just so interesting to see it there. But moving on to the extremely great part of this, the part that makes this, in my opinion, the greatest Star Wars film ever, we have the story that Luke Skywalker goes through. And yeah, with Luke, he goes through a lot in this film. He starts off being captured by a Wampa and barely managing to escape from it. After he's saved by Han, he is sent by Obi-Wan's Force Ghost to Dagobah, which he goes to after the Battle of Hoth. And with it, he does beat Yoda, who goes on his funny messing with Luke routine where he tries to just test Luke's patience and just what he's able to put up with to see if he's ready for Jedi training. And with it, Crazy Yoda is just one of those really funny things to look back on. And even though it's something that I always kind of, just forget about, it's always just a fun thing to see when Yoda appears in that film. And, you definitely know this time, although I'm too young to remember the first time I watched Empire Strikes Back. I do know that when I started watching it and I knew who Yoda was. So I don't know how obvious the twist that the creature there was Yoda and wasn't just some crazy guy messing around with Luke. And with it, I just had so much fun with that, and Yoda was so great. In fact, one of the earliest memories I have is just watching The Empire Strikes Back on Dagobah after some personal stuff happened. I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, this is one of the earliest things I remember doing, and this film definitely has a special place in my heart for that. And yeah, with it, I just really love this film. And with it moving on to the rest of Luke's story, we get so many more interesting things as he fights himself in the Darkseid cave, seeing how he can become like Vader if he goes on this dark path, and with it also sort of foreshadows that Vader has a personal connection to him, although he doesn't know that yet. And with it, you continue on up to the point where he one goes and fights Vader, and you can clearly tell Vader is holding back and he's just toying with Luke until he eventually disarms him in both the literal and figurative sense, making him not be able to fight, but also literally cutting his hand off. And with it, Vader reveals the most famous moment in film history in terms of twists, where he goes and says, "I am your father," a secret that was extremely well protected, and from what I remember is, I think only George Lucas, Mark Hamill, and the director, I can't give the director's name right now, but I think they were the only three who knew it, with the line even being cut together from different lines that James Earl Jones said. And the Vader actor David Prowse didn't know that this was going to be the twist, and everyone besides those three and maybe James Earl Jones, I'm not sure about that, were the ones who knew this twist was coming. And yeah, I'm guessing that they also didn't have anyone there when they edited this scene together and added the new line in, because the original line was Obi-Wan killed your father. And with that, that would have been an equally interesting and cool moment. Although I do prefer them to do it this way since we get the great character of both Anakin and Vader being the same person. But I would have been really interested to see if they went this way, and I really did like that. And yeah, just looking at it, there's just so many other great moments in this. You get the introduction of Boba Fett, you get so many other just cool things going on, and yeah, honestly, I just don't think there's really anything bad I could say about this film besides the awkward moment between Luke and Leia, and with it, this one also benefits the most from special editions where it just goes and adds in more windows to Cloud City, and it does a really nice change from the original Emperor, which was a little like weird and creepy, to Ian McDiarmid's Emperor, which is just a lot better for consistency and everything. And with it, it's also kind of obvious now thinking about it after the stuff happened in the Marvel Comics where Vader learns Luke Skywalker's name and immediately puts the points together that Luke is his son, because it makes almost no sense for Vader to know the name Luke Skywalker. No, he came from Tatooine with the protection of Obi-Wan Kenobi and is the exact same age as his kid could have been, and not put those dots together. And it makes a lot more sense with that storyline. But yeah, that was a really cool thing to think about looking back. And yeah, I just really love this film and think it's definitely deserves to be considered the best, even though it's really a hard decision for me. And I honestly don't know what I could put at the top because, as I said before, those four films are all so close. And moving to Return of the Jedi, we just have another great film right here where there's just so much more great stuff to say, even though this is considered to be the worst film in the original trilogy. I still put it up there with them, and don't mind really the Ewoks and stuff as much as many other people do. And I still really enjoy this film, although looking at it, I can definitely see some flaws like I could with Revenge of the Sith, but I'm really willing to look past them like I am with Revenge of the Sith because the movie is just so great overall. And with it, yeah, this is just a really great film, and I'm already at the length I was talking about the prequels in, just talking about the first two films in this trilogy, so yeah, that's pretty crazy. So this is gonna be a longer video, but I also did this like an extra day in advance just so I could have time to do some editing and just be a little ahead because I knew these videos were going to be longer because of just how much I love Star Wars. And with it, I do not regret having these videos being so long because I'm just having so much fun spending all this time just talking about how much I love these films and why this is just my favorite franchise ever. And looking at Return of the Jedi, we have a really fun but complicated and convoluted opening where we have probably the most complicated and convoluted plan in all of fiction. There's probably a few other ones that are above this, but this is definitely up there with Luke's extremely insane plan to rescue Han Solo, including sending the droids in, then sending Leia and Chewbacca, and then Leia trying to save Han, Leia being caught, Luke coming in, having to fight the Rancor, then tricking Jabba into either releasing Han or putting him into a trap, and then going and finding out Jabba's guards, and then killing Jabba, rescuing Han, and throwing Boba Fett into the Sarlacc pit. And that is a lot more, better moment now that we know he has officially survived it. Because if that's how he died, he went out, like a punk, but with it, this was fixed with stuff like Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. Although I know people don't fully love Book of Boba Fett, at least not everyone. I really did enjoy it, and with it, and just looking at everything, it's better for Boba Fett to at least be alive and able to still do cool things than have him just die because a half-blind Han Solo hit his jetpack and sent him flying away. And yeah, with this, I really just do love this film. The entire rescue from Jabba is, I mean, again, it's completely unnecessary for the story. They just could have said that Han was saved off screen or made it a lot less elaborate and complicated. But with it, that's just what makes it so fun because even though this is probably one of the most elaborate, complicated, and sophisticated and, confusing rescues to ever happen, it's still just so much fun to watch. And you're really just get to see just how great things are with Star Wars, and you get such a unique story. And with this, I just really love that part of the film. And moving on, it's just so much more stuff that is really great. With it, you get to see just how insane Star Wars starts to get as we have Palpatine going and being just the ultimate, villain, setting everything up and setting an ultimate trap. You get to see man-eating teddy bears going and attacking people. You get some insane speeder bike chases. And yeah, this is just such a great film. And looking at it, it's so much fun. We get some really great moments too. And with it, it definitely has some of the most emotional and heartfelt moments to ever happen in Star Wars. This includes the scenes where Yoda dies, Luke tells Leia about his family, and the moment without the no scream where Vader goes and saves his son and kills the Emperor, sadly for the first time. Kind of wish he just, at least now died there with the chosen one stuff put in. That's something I'll talk about in the sequel video. And I feel like I could get that out this week since I'm recording this video, which is meant to come out on Thursday and Tuesday. So I should have plenty of time to do that sequels video. And with it, you're going to hear all my opinions on what they did in Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker come out there. And with that, just looking at this, there's just, as I said, so many great moments. And the last of the great moments is just when Vader dies in his son's arms and looks upon him finally with his own eyes. And that's just such a great moment. And this served as the absolute perfect end to the Star Wars saga. It ended the 6 films, and with it, it was just such a great ending. We have so many other great things in this also. The battle for Endor is just really great. The Ewoks are not as bad as some people would tell you they are. I think they're just fun to have there, and I never really minded them. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily want to watch the whole show and movies based off of them, but they're really fine in their supporting role, and as a Star Wars fan, I'll eventually check out the droids and Ewok shows, and probably the 2 live action Ewok movies. But yeah, honestly, I think that it's just such a great film. I really love everything that happens in Return of the Jedi, besides a few things like Jedi Rocks, and I can admit, even though that's the version I, mainly remember watching, that is completely just terrible and not necessary. And looking at the ending, it's really hard to say because, on one hand, I think Yum Num is just a really great song. On the other hand, I really like the victory celebration throughout the galaxy. And honestly, I feel like it could work really well with the both of them. And who knows, maybe I'll do an edit where I have Yum Num played over the ending to Return of the Jedi with a modernized version of it with the celebration throughout the galaxy. I'm not sure if I'll try that out yet, but I might. But yeah, with it, I just really love this film. We have so much great stuff. We get to see the Emperor and his true power. We get to see the redemption of Anakin Skywalker. And we get to see just really everything resolved. And with it, we get to see the ultimate victory of the rebellion. And even though you can understand there's going to be still fights they have to win to finally take down the Empire, they've done the most major and important step. And it's just really great to see. And yeah, with it, I really did enjoy this film. I enjoy all of these films. And now let's take a look at the trilogy as a whole. And yeah, the original trilogy, it's such a great trilogy. All the films are really great, and with it, you can, go and nitpick little flaws out of them. But with it, I really think, yeah, it's just, kind of nitpicking. You could get probably the most valid arguments against Return of the Jedi, but I still love the film, and with it, this will be the last time I'll try and say it for this video. And I probably won't need to mention it in the sequels video, but I love almost all of these equally, and yeah, it's just really, really great. And with it, it's a great story where it follows Luke, Han, and Leia as they go and fight against the Empire. You get great characters like Lando, 3PO, and R2, and Chewbacca, and there's just so much fun stuff in it. You have great stuff like the space battles in episodes 4 and 6, and awesome stuff like the Battle of Hoth and both fights between Luke and Vader. And yeah, with it, I just really love these films. They're just so great, and I think this is really all I have to say. So please let me know what you think of the original trilogy in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.